This is an absolute nightmare for the Atlanta Braves as they are set to play a doubleheader the day before the playoffs, and it's against the Mets. Both of those teams are vying for the final wild card spot, and they're going to have all hands on deck on Monday, which is the day before the wild card round begins. So I'll break down that impact that it'll have on them and the other teams in the race on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. What's up, everybody? Welcome into 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we'll be talking about the Atlanta Braves and New York Mets. Their series that was supposed to be concluding today is going to have to be wrapped up on Monday in the form of a doubleheader. Now, by the time that they get there, those games may not matter. Obviously, they still have an entire series to be played before we actually get to that point. But the real concerning part about this is that is the day before the wild card round starts, and those two teams are pretty heavily involved in the race right now. So let's get straight into it. But before we do that, I want to let you know that around 97% of you watching these videos are not subscribed. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a ton. It allows me to make this daily content for you guys. We are so close to my goal of 1,500 subscribers. So if you could help get me there, it would mean the world to me. But let's get into it right here. There will be no baseball in Atlanta until at least Friday. Multiple reports indicated Wednesday evening that the Atlanta Braves and New York Mets have officially postponed their games for Wednesday and Thursday to Monday. The two teams will play doubleheader on Monday, September 30th, which, as I mentioned, is the day before the playoffs. This is official. Mets, Braves, games canceled tonight. Games tonight and tomorrow postponed. Justin Toscano wrote on X, formerly Twitter, doubleheader on Monday, brutal outcome. And those were the two words that I really wanted to highlight here. Brutal outcome. Braves radio host Kevin McAlpin reported game one of the doubleheader will start at 1:10 p.m. The second game will begin 40 minutes after the final out of the first contest. So let's play a hypothetical scenario here. Let's say the Braves and the Mets are really fighting, and they need these games, right? You're going to have to pitch probably Chris Sale. You're going to have to pitch all of your best guys. It's going to have to be all hands on deck for the Atlanta Braves if they are still chasing the New York Mets. Because as it stands right now, these are the standings. They are a game back of New York, and I mean Arizona as well. But Arizona has a series coming up against the Padres. I don't know. It's very tight, those final three spots there, and only two of those teams could make it. So you got to believe that it will be all hands on deck once those teams face each other on Monday. And for that reason, I think this is a total nightmare scenario for Major League Baseball as well, because you presume that the winner of that is probably going to face the San Diego Padres or whoever they face, or the Milwaukee Brewers, whether it's the Brewers or the Padres. If you are going into a playoff matchup without your number one pitchers, with not all of your guys at full strength, you're going to get killed. I mean, the Padres are playing great baseball right now. They would annihilate the Mets if they didn't have their frontline guys. They would annihilate the Atlanta Braves if they didn't have their top dogs like Chris Sale available to them. This is the scenario that I'm putting myself in if I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. Like, it is a total nightmare. And I feel for these teams right now, and I also feel for the people of Florida and those impacted by Hurricane Helene. Like, this is the first and foremost priority, by the way, to get this thing sorted out and make sure that people are safe and have a place to go home and sleep at. Like, that is the number one issue at hand right here. It is not baseball games, but in the baseball landscape, this is definitely affecting a lot of teams more than a couple of teams more than it would affect other teams, I should say. And the Atlanta Braves and New York Mets are at the forefront of that. So again, make sure to be safe and hug your loved ones, and that is the first and foremost priority, no doubt about it. But at the same time, a lot of baseball is supposed to have been played, and it's not going to be played, at least not until Monday, because of all this stuff going on. Now I'm just gonna take a look. So the Braves start a series today. Sorry about that. So the Braves start a series today against the Kansas City Royals. And then you have the Mets who are facing off against the Brewers. Now the Brewers have the division wrapped up. They're still trying to get that number one seed though, I would imagine, or a top two seed. They're not too far off. They really aren't. So they are kind of far off. So I don't think that's necessarily viable for them to go out there and achieve that. The Dodgers are the number one seed. They've clinched their division. All three division leaders have clinched the division. So it's truly up to the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves. Those are the only teams really playing for anything at this juncture of the season. And maybe you could argue that we will get a playoff series between the Mets and the Braves on Monday, but then you're really handicapping yourself heading into the actual playoff series, which would probably be against the San Diego Padres. And if I'm a Braves fan and I don't have Chris Sale in game one, I do not like my chances. I don't like my chances regardless against the San Diego Padres, but I like them even less if I don't have my full artillery available to me. And that is a very concerning thing here. And one final screenshot here. The scenario the Braves and Mets both dreaded has happened. Rainouts today and tomorrow. If playoff spots haven't been decided, they have to play a doubleheader Monday afternoon. Think of all the pitchers they'll have to use in that doubleheader with the possible playoff games the next 3 days. It is a total nightmare scenario. There's no other way to put it. Nightmare. That is the word to describe this situation that is plaguing a lot of people from Florida, a lot of people from Georgia, and just on the southeast coast of the United States. So again, make sure to stay safe. Baseball comes secondary to the game of life. There's no doubt about that. But I just wanted to make a video on this, just highlighting the impact that it could have on the playoff race going forward. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Thank you guys so much for making it this far. I'm blown away by all the support that we've gotten on the previous videos. But thanks again. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And I just want to say a quick word to the people of Oakland and all the athletic fans out there. As someone who is from Montreal, I can understand the pain of a team being stripped away from you and not being able to have that in your childhood. So for that reason, I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan. I don't really have anywhere else to turn to. I like the San Diego Padres now for sure, but I mean, I understand and I feel the pain of those people from Oakland. So again, just keep being resilient. Hopefully, one day baseball can come back there in some capacity. And the people of Oakland who are so passionate, blue collar workers, and just love their baseball. Hopefully, they can see that again someday. But shout out to you guys. It's never easy to be able to go through that. I mean, the scenes yesterday at the Oakland Coliseum were amazing for their final ever home game, and it made me tear up. It made me tear up a little bit. Seriously, I really it resonated with me how beautiful the presentation was and how passionate and engaged the fans were, and they still are to this day, and they will be forever. You know, Oakland, the A's will live on forever in Oakland, even if they're not there physically. But I'm sending all of my love out to you guys. It's never easy to be able to go through that, but yeah, it's again, you rise up from this, right? You rise up. The city of Oakland has really gotten the short end of the stick lately in terms of losing their sports teams, and I hope they can find some peace and some solace in these times. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Shout out to all you people in Oakland. Hopefully, you can get a team back someday.